Hi everybody, it's RPG Grandma with the next section we're going to do, or the expanded rules for Alpha Down, Star Frontiers. And that is expanded game characters. So, the original rules, pretty basic character. They didn't really explain if you got any special abilities or any of that, right? This, all that stuff gets added. So, what's the first difference? A player can change his character's ability scores by subtracting points from one ability and adding them to their other ability in the pair. That is one of the differences. So if you roll and get your base score of, say, 65, and let's say, I don't know, personality and leadership, but you want your leadership to be more than your personality, or your personality to be higher than your leadership, well, you can move points around. And it doesn't say it has to be in fives either. You could move it just a couple points if you want. And then you subtract a couple points from the other one. So you can make your characters a little more individualistic right from the beginning. Now, that when you go to roll those base scores, is there any difference between the two games? And the answer is no. It's the exact same chart. So 1 through 10, that equals 30. 11 through 20, that equals 35. 21 through 35 is 40. 36 through 55, 45. 56 through 70 becomes a 50. 71 through 80 is 55. 81 through 90 is a 60. 91 through 95 is a 65. 96 through the 100 is 70. The next step is deciding your race. And just like in the previous game, you will add or subtract based on the race. And it's the exact same modifier. So Duralicites are +5 to strength and stamina, and -5 to dex and reaction speed, with no modifiers on the other ability scores. Humans, no modifiers on the ability scores, except they get that +5 in any one ability score. These points apply to only one ability, not to both abilities in the pair. Vrusk get the -5 on strength and stamina, the +5 on dexterity and reaction speed, no modifiers to intelligence and logic or personality and leadership. Yarzarians, -10 on strength and stamina, +5 on dexterity and reaction speed, +5 on intelligence and logic, no modification on personality and leadership. All right, so you modify, do that. Now you divide the character's reaction score, speed score by 10. The result is the initiative modifier, just like in the basic rules. But the non-human characters get special abilities. So when we covered the races, we learned that Duralicites can detect lies at 5%, and they get elasticity. Vrusk get a 50% on comprehension, special skill they get, and their ambidextrity. And Yarzarians have the battle rage, 5% starting. You can spend points and bump that up. And hush, no. Gliding and night vision are special abilities they get. If the character is human or Yarzarian, you have to decide whether he is right or left-handed, he, she. And you decide whether your character is male or female, unless it's a Duralicite. And then you need to keep track of what phase it's in. And you roll a D100, all right, and you add the result to 250. The final result is the number of credits the character has at the start of the game. The character can spend this money immediately on equipment or save some of it until later in the game. Equipment prices are listed in this section on equipment. to keep things simple. New characters can buy a standard equipment pack from the basic game for 250 credits. So they made the basic and the expanded rules compatible with each other. So what does this mean? Well, if you were playing, and this is before we get to any other stuff that for the expanded, if you were playing the basic character Garzarian they have here, it doesn't have. Okay, so if you started with this character and you wanted to convert it to the expanded rules, you could do that because they apparently thought about that. They don't really, I don't think they really go into how to do that, but it's not that hard. So let's say you started the group out playing the basic. Then what you would do is tell everybody, you'd have two options here. You can A, just give everybody the ability to move a few points around like they would have been able to do when they first created their characters in the expanded, or just be like, okay, that we're going to just add the special abilities on that your race would be able to do now, and then move on to the next part of the creation process, which will be the skills and all that kind of stuff. I personally would let them, if there was some points they wanted to move around on their pairs, let them do that. And I would kind of consider that these beginning characters like your 0 level, because they didn't really have any special skills or anything. They just were some folks dealing with things happening, and they weren't really well defined yet. And that is what I would do myself. And that's what I've done in the past when I did basic characters, and then like, okay, let's try the harder role, the quote harder roles, which, if anything, they're not quite that. So, improving abilities. They go into a whole section explaining what the abilities are and how to use them, and I'm going to do that as a separate little video. But improving your characters, because they talk about that. So characters increase their ability scores and racial abilities and gain skills through adventuring. The characters adventure, they learn from their experiences, improve themselves through practices in the game. This type of experience is recorded as experience points. The referee hands out experience points at the end of the adventure to reward the character's performance and success. If the characters perform beyond expectations by his employer, he will receive more experience. If he failed miserably at the task, he will receive less experience. And you use those experience points to raise your abilities in this game. You spend them. So, ability score by trading 1 EXP to raise an ability score by 1 point. But no ability score can ever go over 100. So that's how you do that. Skills. Characters can learn skills that allow them to perform special action. Each skill has 6 levels of expertise. A character can raise his skill levels by spending experience points. Experience points can be traded to gain a level, 1 skill, or to increase the skill the character already has to the next level. The number of XP that must be traded for each skill and skill level is described in the skills section, which I'm going to get into in a separate video. But when you create your characters in the expanded system, that's what you spend your skills on. You get let me see here. You get you get the skill points, and then you start out. So that's how you do it. And so I'm going to go into the skills separately, and I'll go into the ability checks separately, in the next few videos. So everybody have a great day. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. You know I'm a real person. I'm always filming someplace different, trying to find that quiet space in life so I can make these videos. Anyway, have a great day. Bye.